By the way, if you'd really like to know, he went that way.
Who did?
The White Rabbit.
He did?
He did what?
Went that way.
Who did?
The White Rabbit.
What rabbit?
But didn't you just say? I mean, oh dear.
Can you stand on your head? However, if I were looking for a white rabbit, I'd ask the Mad Hatter.
The Mad Hatter? No,
So on the search of this rabbit, we come to realise that there are a few things on the table that a lot of people don't comprehend. And this is how someone is able to give warnings in advance about an impending and dire strait that the country's going to find itself in before it happens. Just having a view through a window to know the past. The people have had their Commonwealth swindled from underneath their feet and turned into a, as Klaus Schwab puts it, stakeholder economy, where you'll own nothing and you'll enjoy it because they'll own it all instead. And that's a literal impossibility, given that it's all public trust in privatisation. The swindling has occurred by blindsiding you away from who you are as a people and allowing your economy and your government to be managed. So we have this now obvious curial right, a crown right, but to have this right without going to war, which would be then attempting to describe a terrorist act, one must come to peace within this framework wherein a specific power has divided not only your country but many other countries around the world by causing a diaspora of people from their homelands during conflict. So this curial right comes not from you fighting for this right. It's a right already fought for and given to you by your forefathers and was laid in stone in Shrine of Remembrance. So we have this curial right, and it's not a crown created new. This is what allows for this ongoing court discussion to happen, given that it is technically an administrator government in the process of a merger of usufruct into other parties' hands, still not the people of the Commonwealth of Australia. There is a premise in international law that allows for an administered people to return to who they formerly were, thereby removing administrators from their lands. And what you have seen since the time of John Howard is a total and purposeful bankruptcy of the country into a multi-trillion-dollar debt standing that was created on and forced upon you by interests foreign, expecting you to take up the bill. A curial right is a right to return back to the garden of your forefathers and ask said nanny to remove themselves from what they don't own and return it back to the naked owners of what technically would be the Anzac estate. Anzac being the owner and gods of their fathers that left them inheritance in the lands that they call the Commonwealth of Australia. There is a standing that has been now given to you in a courtroom that can prove without shadow of a doubt that there is a layered crown system here, in a system that they have tried to hide from the people for over 80 years. It has been since the time of Robert Menzies that they introduced this system of takeover and tried to stop you flying your red ensign, attributing it to communist powers. The irony being is that look at what they have done to your country, while always preaching their Republican model that will never come to fruition, as it is a smokescreen to the actual rules that appear on the table. There is only one way to address the rules on the table, and that is to look at this curial problem that you have overseeing what would be your Crown estate. This is very clear when the Justice speaks about the defence of the Constitution, meaning that the garden cannot stop. The garden can only move forward. It is wholly then dependent on who is in maintenance of that garden as to who has first use of those fruits, and the definition of those use of the fruits would then determine the naked owner and owner of that garden. That there is a claim here that has been defined that can be demonstrated through the Shrine of Remembrance that many are ignorant of, because until now they have played this law game. And the very specific reference to a curial overthrow of government is reference to what a Crown in 1954 with New Flags Act 1954 did to your government before it kicked Gough Whitlam out in 1975. It went through the process of a demise of your currency and shut your economy down to install an administrative process in the greater scheme of the laws of war. And no one is addressing this problem while this ongoing use of the people's fruits continues.
Mad Hatter? No, I don't...
Or there's the March Hare in that direction.
Thank you. I think I shall visit him.
Of course, he's mad too.
But I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. Most everyone's mad here. You may have noticed that I'm not all there myself. And the more